Good morning, children. Welcome back to the online class of Sri Gokulam Public School, Vattagara.
Then what about the previous class? Did you understand the lessons? Okay, I hope all of you studied that particular part. And did you remember the lessons name? Okay, please tell me that. Okay, that was from trade to territory. We started that lesson. Okay, then can we continue the next part of this lesson? And that is the last part of this lesson. I hope all of you understood the story of the arrival of the British in India and the establishing their power in India and the policies introduced by the East India Company to establish their political power in India. Did you remember that? Please listen. Direct military attack, then policy of paramountcy, subsidiary alliance, and the last doctrine of lapse. Who introduced the doctrine of lapse? Lord Dalhousie. Okay, did you remember the first railway line in India? Who introduced that? Okay, Lord Dalhousie. In which year? 1853. Okay, I hope all of you understood. Now, can we start the next part of this lesson? The last part. Okay, then setting up a new administration. Here, what were the methods introduced by the British government to establish the more power in India and to improve the administrative system in India? Okay, that is for the welfare of the East India Company and the British government. They introduced good administrative reform. Now we can look at that, what were that. Here, then the Bengal governor Warren Hastings, he became the first Governor General of India. Who was the first Governor General of India? Warren Hastings. And he became the Governor General of India from 1773 to 1785. Listen, and he introduced the administrative policies, especially in the case of justice, to maintain law and order. We know East India Company, they established their power first of all in where? Bengal. Listen, after the Battle of Plassey and Buxar. But gradually their power extended to Bombay and Madras presidencies also. And they appointed the governors to look after the administration of each presidencies. Understood? But the supreme head of these presidencies, that was Governor General. Listen, Warren Hastings, the first Governor General, he became the supreme head of these presidencies. Understood? Then he introduced many administrative reforms, especially in the case of justice. That I told you that. Especially in the case of justice, he introduced many reforms. For what purpose? For maintaining law and order. Then a new system of justice was introduced. Next, each district. Listen, each district there had two courts. They formed two courts in each district, and a criminal court and a civil court. The civil court under the control of district collector and a criminal court under the control of Qazi and a mufti. Listen, Qazi means a judge. Mufti means a Muslim religious authority. They wanted to look after the laws of this Qazi. Whatever the laws passing by this Qazi, they wanted to expound the laws. That was the duty of the Mufti. Understood? Okay. Criminal court under Qazi and Mufti, and civil court under the collector. But overall control to whom? The collector. Clear? And here, to understand the Indian laws, then the East India Company and the officials of this East India Company, they asked the Indians to interpret the laws. They were not aware the local laws existed in India. So they wanted to understand the laws existed in India. Then only was possible for them to do the administration in India. So they asked the Maulavis as well as the Pandits, Hindu Pandits, to interpret the Indian laws. But these Maulavis and the Hindu Pandits, they interpreted the laws in a various manner. Listen, that was not in a uniform manner, because that was based on the school of Dharma Shastra. What is meant by Dharma Shastra? That was a Sanskrit text. Listen, explaining the social as well as the code of conduct. Listen, Dharmashastra Sanskrit text explaining the social rules and code of conduct. Listen, but then that was interpreting in a different manner. So the British government asked them to create a uniform interpretation. For that, they appointed the 11 Hindu Pandits and asked them to compose a new digest, a uniform digest. And the Muslim Maulvis also asked to form their own religious laws. Listen, to make a digest of the laws existing in the local areas. Understood? And after this, these digested laws that was translated into English. The example, one of the officer that was the N.B. Halhut. He translated the laws interpreted by the Hindu Pandits and the Muslim Maulvis into which language? English language. So easy for the company officials to understand the Indian laws and to extend their administration in India. Clear it? A Muslim laws that was then composed in 1778 for the benefit of the English judges. Listen, the British government, they appointed the judges in India, but they were not aware of the Indian law. So, they were asked the Hindu Pandits and Maulavis to do what? To interpret the Indian laws. But the different or the varieties of laws interpreted, so they asked them to compose the digest and then translate it into English. Okay. Then next in 1773, Warren Hastings, he passed about the Regulating Act. In which year? 1773. By this act, he established the Supreme Court in India. Listen, by the Regulating Act of 1773, a Supreme Court was established at Calcutta, as well as the Sadar Nizamat Adalat that was also set up. A Sadar Nizamat Adalat that was also set up at Calcutta. Local courts, okay, that also formed in Calcutta. The main head of the district, that was the collector. Who was the main head? The collector, he was the main head of the district. And what were the main duties of the collector? The collector, he wanted to look after the administration of the particular district as well as to maintain law and order. Okay, and help the judges as well as the police and terrogas to do the administration in a proper manner. Then next, the collectorate, it became, or the office of the collectorate, it became the new center of the power. They started to do the administration from where? From collectorate. Clear it? Please see the chart. What did we explain now? That is clearly then marked there in this chart. Please see this chart. The administrative system introduced by Warren Hastings and the power of the collector. Listen. Understood? Now can we start the next part? Are you ready to follow me? Okay? Yes. Then next we want to discuss the company army, East India Company army. How did they maintain the army in India? Okay, before that we can go through that. What type of the army system followed by the Mughal emperors? Did you remember before the establishment of the colonial power in India, India was under the control of Mughal emperors, but the last Mughal emperor, he was so weak. After that, then the different Nawabs, they established their power in various states. Did you remember that? Okay, now we can see that the company army, the power of East India Company, that was depending upon what? The company's army. Then the Mughal army, that was composed of mainly two groups of army, cavalry and infantry. Cavalry means the soldiers on horseback. Infantry means the foot soldiers. Listen, the Mughal emperors, they gave importance for cavalry, didn't give more importance to infantry. They maintained cavalry. Cavalry means the soldiers on horseback and fighting. Listen, okay, the Mughal emperors gave importance for this cavalry. These soldiers, they got training in archery as well as the use of the sword. How to use the sword and how to do the archery. That training they got. Then the army was dominated by then cavalry. Clear, right? Did you understand? this army that was dominated by the cavalry, and they got the training of then how to use the archery and the swords. In rural areas, there was a large number of peasants as well as the zemindar, and they distributed the soldiers. Clear? Then they distributed, or they themselves became the soldiers. The peasants and zemindars, they supplied the soldiers to the army. Understood? But changes occurred in 18th century onwards. The changes occurred in the army formation from 18th century onwards. What type of the changes? The Awadh and the Benares, they started recruiting the peasants into the army, and they gave the training to these peasants, or they became the professional soldiers. Listen, the next, the same method that was adopted by the East India Company also. They also started to appoint the soldiers and gave their own way of training. Understood? Then in 1820s, the company's warfare technology that was changed. Instead of giving more importance to cavalry, they started to give importance for what? The infantry. The power of cavalry declined and infantry became more important. Then the company, they wanted to go to the other countries like Afghanistan and Burma. There existed these countries, Afghanistan and Burma, they followed the infantry system. So the company army was also forced to do the same methods of army system. So they gave training to infantry. Then company's infantry, or the requirements increased. So they recruited more and more peasants to the army. But the Indian peasants, they faced lot of troubles. Clear? Then many of the peasants, they turned to be as the soldiers, but they faced lot of troubles. They gave the professional training. The East India Company gave professional training to these soldiers and then became the soldiers. But they faced the communal difficulties then, because according to the Indian custom,
Crossing the sea.
that was against the laws existing at that time. They were afraid of that. That was then violating the laws of our religion. So they didn't like to join the army, as well as using of the certain type of the cartridges. The cartridges made of the fats of cow and pigs. Using this, that was against the religious faith. They wanted to bite and open this, so they turned against this, and this led to the revolt of 1857. East India Company, they appointed the Indian soldier, and these soldiers were known as the Shipais. Shipais means soldiers. Understood? Then please see the chart. What did we explain? What were the changes introduced in the East India Company's army? Look at this chart. Okay. Then gave importance for infantry and gave the training, and then technological training they gave to these soldiers, but the soldiers faced certain communal problems. Understood? That now we can start or discuss the last part, that is the conclusion part. Listen, the conclusion part, it is saying that East India Company, listen, then they first of all came to India for trade purpose only, but later it came to turned to be as a then the political power in India. Then here this establishment of the political power in India that became so fast due to the introduction of the steam technology. Listen, the steam technology that benefited the East India Company to establish their power in a fast manner. Because earlier they took 6 to 8 months to reach India from England to India. Listen, but after the invention of this steam technology, then they wanted only 3 weeks to reach India. That was a good benefit for them to establish their administration in India in a fast manner. Did you understand? And later, then 63% of the Indian territories and then 78% of the Indian population, they were under the control of the East India Company. In 1857, then at the time of the First War of Independence, then 63% of the Indian territories and 78% of the Indian population, they were under the control of the East India Company. I hope all of you understood this part. Okay, then please see the chart. Conclusion part, the technology, how it developed and how was it useful for the East India Company to establish the power in India. Okay, then please see the map. The map you can see then the areas controlled by the East India Company. Please see the map and go through the textbook. The same map is there in the textbook. Please go through that. Then you can understand. First of all, only few areas under the control of the East India Company gradually increased, and later almost all parts of India were under the control of East India Company. And finally, do you remember that in which year we got the freedom from British? That was in 1947. Did you remember? Am I correct? 15th August. At present, we are observing this 15th August as the Independence Day, and we are celebrating every year in our school. For what purpose? To aware the importance of the 15th August and the dedication made by our leaders for getting freedom from this East India Company's rule as well as the British government. I hope all of you understood. Then I am going to send the questions along with this. Please prepare the notes and send to me, and after that I will conduct the class test next week itself. Okay, next week I will be there in the online class also, live class. That time any doubt will be there, we can share it. Okay, thank you.